Hi, fourth grade. This is Miss Wilson again. Today we're going to be doing lesson number 25, problem set. So let's go ahead and take out our workbook and let's go to lesson 25, problem set. Pause the video here until everybody gets their workbook out. All right, so we should be on lesson 25, problem set. Today we're going to do the opposite of what we did yesterday. So we're going to be changing mixed numbers to improper fractions. So remember, mixed numbers are two different types of numbers. So like on AB, we have 2 and 4/5. So that's a mixed number. We have a whole number and a fraction together. So now we're going to try to change that. Not going to try. We're going to change it to an improper fraction where our numerator, our top number, is greater than our denominator. So let's go over the things that we already know. So one of the things that we already know is when we're turning whole numbers into fractions, our denominator never changes. So if our denominator is 5, when we change this whole number to a fraction, it's going to be 5 because our denominator doesn't change. That's a 5, I promise. And then what do we know about whole numbers? We know that whole numbers, our denominator and our numerator has to be the same number to equal 1. So this 2, I'm going to have 2 bubbles, 2 number bars coming off of it because there's 2 whole numbers in here. There's 2 ones. So one of my ones is going to be 5/5 because that's 1. And then the other one is going to be 5/5. 1 and 1. 1 plus 1 equal 2. And then my 4/5, I'm just going to pull on down because that's already a fraction. Now, remember when we do a number bond, there's an imaginary what in between it? Plus sign. So I'm going to add all these fractions together. 5/5 plus 5/5 gives me 10/5. And then 10/5 plus this 4/5 gives me 14/5. So when I change this mixed number to an improper fraction, it's 14/5. Now that's the fourth grade way because they want us to understand that each one of the ones that's in this 2 is going to be 5/5. Now, the rest of our life, when we do this, we're going to take the mixed number, 2 and 4/5. We're going to put a multiplication sign at my denominator and a plus sign at my numerator. Okay? So what do we already know about fractions? Our denominator does not change. So I can go ahead and bring that denominator over because it's not going to change. Now I'm going to take my whole number and multiply it times my denominator first. 2 times 5 is 10. Then I'm going to add in, because remember there's a plus sign here, I'm going to add in my numerator to the product I just got when I multiplied. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. See how we got the exact same answer without using the number bond. Okay, so let's do another one. And we're going to use the number bond first. So let's do C. We have 3 and 5/8. So I have to ask myself, how many ones do I have in 3? I have 3 ones. How many ones does it take for me to get 3? 3 ones. So I already know I'm going to have 3 number bonds coming off of this 3 because each one of them has to equal 1. Then what do I know about my denominator? It's not going to change. So if this denominator is 8, this denominator is going to be 8, this denominator is going to be 8, this denominator is going to be 8. Then I'm going to take also knowledge that I already have. I know in order to equal 1 that my denominator and my numerator has to be the same number. So if my denominator is 8, what's going to be my numerator? 8. So that equals 1. Then again, I need this one to equal how much? 1. So if my denominator is 8, what's going to be my numerator? 8. See, I'm taking knowledge I already have. I know in order to equal 1, my denominator and my numerator has to be the same number. So if my denominator is 8, what's my numerator? 8. Now I took care of the 3. Now I have to take care of the 5/8. And all thing we're going to do is bring that down. We're not going to change it. It's already a fraction. Now, anytime we do a number bond, we know that there's an imaginary plus sign in between each one of these. So I'm going to add them all together. 8/8 plus 8/8 is 16/8. 16/8 plus 8/8 gives me 24/8. 24/8 plus this 5/8 gives me 29/8. So 3 and 5/8 as a mixed number, written as an improper fraction, is going to be 29/8. Now we're going to do it the way that we're going to do it for the rest of our lives, because we only do it this way in 4th grade. So we got to get used to the way that we're doing it for the rest of our lives. So it's going to be 3 and 5/8. I'm going to put multiplication sign at my denominator and a plus sign at my numerator, because I'm going to multiply my whole number times my denominator and then add in my numerator. But I'm going to go ahead and put my denominator over to the side, because we know what happens with fractions. And when we're multiplying it by a whole number or when we're adding them, the denominator does not change. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 8 over there. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And then I'm going to add in my numerator, 24 plus 5 is 29. The exact same thing we did here, because all my 3's together gave us 24/8. When I multiply 3 times this fraction, it gives me 24/8. Then I add in my last numerator, and it gives me 29/8. All right, let's do another one together. So let's do D. D is 4 and 4/10. All right, we're going to do our number bond first. So looking at this whole number 4, how many number bonds that equal 1 do I need to make coming off this 4? I need 4 of them. I need 1 for each one, because it takes 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 to equal 4. And that's 4 number bonds. So I'm going to make me 4 number bonds coming off of here just for the 4. Because I need 4 ones. And each one of these are going to be my 4 ones. Then I need 1 for my 4/10. And I can go ahead and bring that down, because I'm not changing that. But it helps me know what my denominators are going to be. Because if my denominator here is 10, each one of my ones denominator has to be what? 10. Because all my denominators have to be the same. I'm going to put a 10 there, 10 there, 10 there, and a 10 there. Okay, now I use my knowledge of what I know about adding fractions, that all my denominators have to be the same. Now I'm going to take my prior knowledge of what I know about fractions that equal 1. And what do we know about fractions that equal 1? Yes, the denominator and the numerator has to be the same number. So if my denominator is 10, what's my numerator? 10. So that equals 1. If my denominator is 10, what's my numerator? 10. That equals 1. If my denominator is 10, what's my numerator? 10. Because that equals 1. If my denominator is 10, what's my numerator if this is going to equal 1? 10. And between each one of these number bonds is an imaginary what? Yes, plus sign. There's an imaginary plus sign on each one of them. So I'm going to add them. 10 tenths plus 10 tenths. Remember, I only add the what? Numerators. Denominators we do not add. So that's 2010 plus this 10, 10, and that gives me what? 3010. Okay, so I did this one, did that one, did that one. Now I'm going to do this one. Add 1010 to that one. And that's going to give me what? 4010. Then I still need to add my last fraction, which is 4 tenths. And 40 tenths plus 4 tenths gives me 44 tenths. So written as an improper fraction is 44 tenths. So now let's do it the way we're going to do it for the rest of our lives. So we're going to take the 4 and 4 tenths. You see I'm leaving me space in between so I can put my multiplication sign at my denominator, my plus sign at my numerator. And what do we know about when we're multiplying a whole number times a fraction? Our denominator stays the same. That's why we learned all this before. So when we got here, these are things that we already know. We're taking what we already know and combining them together. So I'm going to take my whole number and multiply it times my denominator first. 4 times 10 is 40. Then I'm going to add my numerator to the product I just got. 40 plus 4 is 44. See how I got the exact same answer? All right. So now let's go to E. All right, so let's do E. So we have 4 and 7/9. So I'm going to put in a number bond. Because it's okay if you're still using a number bond. But when we get to number 2, we're not using the number bond anymore. So looking at this 4, how many number bonds do I need to come out this 4? Because remember, for each one, the number 1 that's in 4, I need a number bond for it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's only for my whole number 4. Then I need one for my fraction, which is 7/9. Now I'm going to go ahead and write my fraction down here because what do I know about adding fractions? All my denominators must be the same. So if this denominator is 9, when I turn this 1 into a fraction, that denominator is going to be 9. This denominator is going to be 9. This denominator is going to be 9. This denominator is going to be 9. Now in your head, you're saying, Ms. Wilson, we've done this before. Yes, we did it when the whole number was 1. Now we're doing it with greater whole numbers. All right? So I know each one of these have to equal 1. And what do I know about fractions that equal 1? Yes, the denominator and the numerator has to be the same number. So let's fill in those numerators. And you can pause the video right here, whoever's teaching this. All right, so you should be back. So 9, 9, 9, 9. Because we know the denominator and the numerator has to be the same number. It's equal 1. So what's the imaginary between these number bonds? Yes, there's an imaginary plus sign. So we're going to add all these up. So I have 9, 9 plus 9, 9, which gives me 18/9. Remember, we do not add denominators. We only add the numerators. Plus, I use those two. So now plus 9, 9. And that's going to give me 27/9. So I use that one. Plus my next one, which is 9/9, which is going to give me 36/9. So I use that one. Then I'm going to add in my last fraction of 7/9. Yeah, I'm putting a line through the ones I use so I can remember that I used them. And then 36 plus 7, 38, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. 43/9. So 4 and 7/9 written as an improper fraction is 43/9. Now we're going to do it the other way because we have to learn this way because this is the way we're going to be doing it from now on. We understand that we're pulling out the ones. That's the objective in 4th grade, to understand that you are changing these ones to a fraction and then adding them together. But once we learn that, then we can go along with the way that we're going to learn it every other year. So I know my denominator does not change. So pause it here and let the students try to come up with the numerator. All right, so let's check what we have. So we took our whole number and multiplied it times our denominator. 4 times 9 is 36. And then we add in our numerator. 36 plus 7 is 43. The exact same thing we got here. We got 4 times 9 nines, because that's how many we had. 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, when I multiply a whole number times a fraction, I turn that whole number into a fraction. And 9 times 1, 9. 4 times 9, 36. The exact same thing we got up there. Then I add in my 7/9. All right. So now let's go down to number 2. Now we're not going to be using the number bond anymore. So we have 4 and 1/3. And we have to change this into an improper fraction. So I'm going to put a multiplication sign at my denominator, and I'm going to put a plus sign at my numerator. Now, if you have to rewrite it, because in the workbook they don't give you enough room, go ahead and rewrite it. All right. So how do I determine what my denominator is going to be? Yes, by looking at the fraction, because my denominator never changes. So that means when it becomes an improper fraction, my denominator is still going to be 3. Now I take my whole number and multiply it times my denominator. Because what I'm doing is really multiplying 4 times 3/3. And 4 times 3 is 12. Then I'm going to add in my numerator. 12 plus 1, 13. So I have 13/3. All right, so let's look at C. We have 4 and 3/5. I gave myself a little bit more room this time. Okay, so how are we going to set this up? So go ahead and set it up. All right, so what you should have done, put a multiplication sign at your denominator and a plus sign at your numerator. You didn't do that, go ahead and do it now. All right, equals, now we're going to get our improper fraction. Now, what do we know about our denominators? Yes, it has to stay the same. So if my denominator is 5 on my fraction in the mixed number, what's going to be my denominator in the improper fraction? 5. Okay, so I'm going to give you time to do your numerator. All right, so you should have taken your whole number and multiplied it times your denominator first. 4 times 5 is 20. And then add it in your numerator. 20 plus 3 is 23. If that's what you got, give yourself a pat on the back. That's not what you got. Look and see where your misconception could have came from. Did you forget to multiply the whole number times the denominator? Or did you forget to add in your 3? Or was your multiplication wrong? Because with this, we have to have our multiplication correct. We have to add correctly. So let's look at D. We have 4 and 6/8. So we got to know our 4s on this. So go ahead and set that up. All right, so you should have put a multiplication sign at the denominator and a plus sign at your numerator. Okay? Now go ahead and put your denominator in for your improper fraction. Yes, an 8 should have been your denominator because remember our denominator doesn't change. Okay, so I'm gonna give you time to do your numerator. And if they need more time, you can just pause it here. All right, what you should have done was taking your whole number and multiply it times your denominator first. And 4 times 8, 32, yes. Then we're going to add in our whole number. 32 plus 6, 38. So you should have got 38 eighths. And if that's what you got, give yourself 2 snaps. All right, so let's do some number 3. We're not going to do them all because you still have to do your independent work. So let's do A. Because I just want you to have enough examples that you can look back if you get stuck. So I have 2 and 3/4. So again, go ahead and set that up. So you should have put a multiplication sign at your denominator and a plus sign at your numerator. Go ahead and write your denominator for your improper fraction. Yes, you should have looked at the denominator on the fraction in your mixed number, and it doesn't change. So it should be 4. So let's go ahead and do our numerator. So yes, you should have took your whole number and multiplied it times your denominator. And 2 times 4 is 8. And then added your 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that should have got you 11/4. If that's what you got, give yourself a ooh-wee, ooh-wee. Now, that's not what you got. Look and see where your misconception was. Did you multiply correctly? Did you remember that your denominator doesn't change? Did you remember to add in your numerator? This is the time to see where you messed up. All right, so let's look at B. We have 2 and 2/5. Let's go ahead and set that up. So yes, you should have put a multiplication sign at your denominator and a plus sign at your numerator. Now, I know some of y'all have already left me, and that's okay. But I want you to come back and check your answers against what we have. Okay? So what should my denominator be? Yes, it should be 5 because this denominator is 5. I can't change it. Once a fraction has been decomposed into a number of pieces, every part of that is decomposed in the same pieces. Remember my apple and oranges. You cannot add 5 apples plus 4 oranges. They have to be the same. All right, so let's figure out what our numerator is going to be. And pause it here if they need more time. But we're going to take our whole number and multiply it times our denominator. 2 times 5 is 10. And then I'm going to add in my numerator. 10 plus 2 is 12. All right, this is going to be our last one together. We have 3 and 3, 6. So pause it here. I'm going to let you do the whole problem by yourself. All right, so I'm going to run through it because you've already worked it out. It should have been paused, and you got a chance to work it out by yourself. So I'm gonna put a multiplication sign at my denominator because I'm multiplying, and a plus sign at my numerator because I'm adding that. I know with fractions, my denominator is not going to change. So my denominator is going to be 6. I'm going to take my whole number and multiply it times my denominator. 3 times 6 is 18, plus my 3, 18, 19, 20, 21. All right, so your independent word today is to complete um, number 3. So we stopped at C, so you're going to work all the way down and finish out the page. And then you're going to do lesson 25 homework. It's not your homework, it's classwork, but I want it turned in. It will be a grade. So I hope you learn how to change an improper or change a mixed number into an improper fraction. That's your objective today. That's what you should have learned going out. Now, if you get stuck on your independent, look back at the ones that we've done together. All right. Until next time, 4th grade. Bye.